Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. I have salad in my teeth. That's a good start. I just scarfed down some food and...
Might as well, right?
Might as well. Welcome back to Adobe, what are we? Adobe Live. Welcome back to it. This is a great, can we redo this? My name's Howard Pinsky. I'm a senior XD evangelist here at Adobe. I'm also a little bit more hungry. Joined today by Amy Baxter, who joined us yesterday, and she was creating this really cool tree and leaf identification application, which is really interesting because I know nothing about trees other than the fact that I just ate one and it came, never mind. All right, so we're gonna just jump into things. Best intro ever, yes, thank you, Val. And someone's gonna like GIF that and cut that scene out and just like paste it all over the place.
Time for forever.
Yeah, Gus, salad. Thank you, Gus. So a big good morning, afternoon, or evening to, we got Val in the chat, great moderator, Lindsay, who I see quite often, Sharia, and we've got Dawson and Richard. If you are joining us live, let us know who you are, where you're tuning in from. We're streaming live from San Francisco today. Really nice weather today.
Yeah.
Last time I was here, it was raining the entire time, which is yuck. Kevin Worth is in the chat. Cheryl Howard. I recognize Cheryl because she has a great last name.
Hey.
Umar.
It's too bad it's not Amy.
Yeah, really. So, yeah, why don't you just do a quick introduction on who you are, what you do, and we'll just jump into things. And quick reminders before you do that. About half an hour into the show, we're gonna do chat and win. One of you will win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. There we go, lovely graphic. And then about half an hour before the stream ends, we're gonna dive into Discord and take a look at some of your challenge entries. And if you go to behance.net/challenge/XD, you can find all the information about today's challenge, hosted, just finished, by the amazing Sam Anderson.
Yeah.
Cool. There's the landing page. So today is the onboarding experience for you're using Auto Animate to guide first-time users through a radio app. Ooh, that's exciting. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of Sam's challenges. Joe was saying Howard always has issues speaking. Sometimes I do.
Hey.
I think my brain is moving way too quickly and my mouth just can't catch up. We've got people from Charlotte, North Carolina. Ooh, Cindy from Nevada. It's almost 100 degrees. Ouch. When I left Los Angeles a few days ago, it was 107. Oregon, Anissa, I believe she's also from Los Angeles. Cool.
Awesome.
Alrighty, cool. So give us a little bit of introduction.
Yeah. So I'm Amy Baxter. I work at Amazon. I run the design side of the design system that powers the Amazon.com retail website. And like Howard was saying yesterday, we got to this point for this tree identification app. We decided on Stump the Tree. We have this little patch logo that we're working with. And yesterday, the screens that we did this splash screen, and we did this introductory of what is the customer value that we're contributing with this app. We did the photo screens for how a customer is able to take a photo of the tree that they want to identify, as well as these potential matches. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish up a couple of the screens that we didn't have a chance to do yesterday. Then we're gonna play around with prototyping the transitions between multiple screens. Yep. And then we're also gonna do some fun animations for this loading indicator. Ooh. And some just like little nuanced transitions between the hamburger menu to a close icon, things like that. And when we're all done, we're gonna have this, at least the short happy case scenario for this app all set.
Nice, this is gonna be exciting. And if anyone throughout this process has any questions for Amy about design, about trees, plants, whatever it might be, just throw them in the chat. I'll do my best to look at it, ask her the questions, and this should be fun. And if anyone has suggestions for, I know yesterday we tackled the name of the application. If anyone has suggestions for loading animations or hamburger menu animations that could be fun with trees and plants and that sort of thing, yeah, throw them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love this.
We'll this isn't scripted, so we'll figure it out, as is obvious.
Really, yeah.
So we'll be able to take it as we go, and we're just having fun with you guys. So let's play.
These are super chill.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So I gave you guys the overview of what we did yesterday. What the piece that we're missing right now is that when you have these two different trees that are potential matches for this customer photo, we need to have this a little bit a view where you can dive deeper into a particular tree to understand more of the details about it, and you also want to see some additional photos there too.
Yep, and that section could potentially touch on what Lindsay's asking, is adding a section on common pests that can affect your plants. So maybe within those, the more details, possibly, you can also have areas that talk about pests.
I love that idea because at the end of the day, what our customers are looking to initially identify this tree, but there's perhaps there's a deeper goal behind what they're trying to accomplish there, whether or not it's just the benefit of knowing the name of the tree or identifying things that are ailing it when it's in your yard. Cool, I love that. Let's bring that in just a sec. Okay, so I have this. I want this is the tree that I want to tap into more. So I'm just gonna pull this artboard down. The reason why I'm alt dragging down to this. The reason why I'm using that same screen is I want to preserve some of the naming groups and layers, so when we animate it will naturally morph into each other with the auto animate, and then it will make the customer feel like they're staying within context of as they're moving around.
Totally, and naming conventions are so important with auto animate. We touched on this a little bit yesterday. Is if you have multiple artboards and the group names might not match up, or some are groups and some are masks, or the layer ordering sometimes also matters. XD won't really understand what you want changed because it looks at the differences between the two artboards and then animates those. But if the names are not lined up, it could have a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, totally. And you and I were chatting about that a little earlier. I was struggling with some. I was struggling with some naming conventions, and we found out what. So the names are super important.
Yep.
So you'll notice I pulled all this up because I want a peek of this photo still, because I want the customer to be able to drag back down into it in a little bit. So what I'm gonna ungroup that. Then I am going to I want to try to make this box bigger, but I'm getting cut off there. So I wonder if in order to do that. After all that conversation about preserving the grouping, I'm gonna ungroup it, and we'll see if I screwed up. We can fix it later. So I want to. Why are you being difficult?
Could be because responsive resize is on, so it's taking some of those elements and it's also a component.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, it looks like it's a component in a component. And right now, just so some of you might be aware, there's a little bit of a clipping issue with components. Not a major issue, but things like shadows might get clipped a little bit.
Yeah.
That'll be fixed very soon.
Oh, awesome. Fun question for you. Why is it highlighted in red? This here. Do you see that red outline?
Oh, I do. That's a very good. I've never seen it highlighted in red.
All right, you know what? That's
an interesting question.
Back to the earlier comment, this is not scripted. We're figuring this out as we go. Look, so what I did is I dragged in my big card component and I just plopped it on top of this guy. So we'll see if that helps. Fun thing that we just noticed. Yesterday we played around with making the corners rounded. It looks like this one didn't get those corners rounded, so I'm gonna edit my master component, and I wanna match this corner radius to what we had before. I think we had it at 13 before. So I just want to make sure that we have that element preserved. Nice. So I right-clicked, edit master component, I edited it, and then I was able to delete that because it was able to pop it into here.
So Munir has an interesting question. How do you, it just went away. I think it was something on the lines of, how do you avoid procrastination during the late phases of a project? Because you probably just want to really focus on perfectionism.
Well, that's excellent. It's a balance, right? Because at the end of the day, you have a customer problem that you're trying to solve, and if you get so caught up on the detail pixels to the point that you're not able to meet a deadline, then your customer loses. So it's a balance between ensuring that you are able to provide the best-in-class experience for your customer out of the gate, while also still providing an actual experience. Because I think we as designers, we all can get caught up in this obsession about focusing on making something perfect.
Always.
That we end up not keeping in mind the fact that we're working towards a goal of solving our customers' problems.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I found that helps a lot is being in constant communication with that client or with the team or the supervisor or whoever it might be. So that way you're kind of collaborating with that team throughout the entire process. So that way those little small details can kind of naturally evolve throughout the process, and you're not scrambling at the very end to make everything pixel perfect. It's just like a very slow process. You don't really notice it as you're going. It just kind of happens.
I absolutely agree. So just to talk you guys through what I just did is I moved some of the content in this card up and around a little bit. I was able to delete the details button because that's going to be the thing that brings you to this view.
Isn't that cool? And you're probably not even noticing it, but that's a component you're working with. And you're able to delete elements, you're able to add elements. Components in XD can pretty much be completely overridden, which is really neat.
Totally. It's really fantastic. I actually think I might have accidentally uncomponentized it, but if I was doing it correctly, yes, I totally agree that we can do some really incredible things with these components. And then you have a lot more, it's a lot easy to have repeatable elements later on.
Kat Lowe is in the house. She says, "What a tremendous design!"
Hey, I love
We've
a
got
good.
the
I
puns
love a good
going
pun.
in.
That would have been a fun one to have a name too. Okay, cool. So here's the top part of this card that we're working with. I want to pull in some additional photos because one of the things that I was talking about is you want to be able to compare your image with these other different images. So I'm going to alt drag this. I'm going to create 3 of these. And then I'm going to group those. First, I'm going to make sure that they're spaced appropriately.
You can also use a repeat grid for something like this.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, this is one of the...
Any chance I get to spread the word of repeat grids.
All right, so I have to alt drag the first one, right?
Nope.
Nope.
You can just pop that repeat grid button. Boop. Sound effects for you.
Well done. Okay, and then how do I adjust the spacing? I actually haven't used repeat grid, but I love it.
Hover in between it and just pull it. There you go.
That beautiful, beautiful thing.
So good.
Oops. Nerdy design moment. Fantastic. So now we have this repeat grid. I'm going to drop in a couple images, and then I want to mask it because I want to. This is a little weird to have a sliding element on top of a card.
Yep.
So I'm going to drop in some of those photos.
Cool. And while you're looking for those, Susanna's asking, could there be a quick facts field? I have a love-hate relationship with our front yard tree, which disperses 1,000 of seeds and are impossible to get rid of. Seedlings pop up in plant beds.
I love it. So the idea of a quick peek into the high-level information for the tree?
Possibly, or if you're viewing like this card here, there could be just a very quick like little blurb, maybe cool fact or good to know or something that people might really should be being they should pay attention to.
I totally agree. I think that's fantastic. We'll pull that in because I have some placeholder content, and then we'll able to build that in because I think that's a really great idea. I have another. Where's my other Dawn Redwood? Somewhere in all my files.
So many.
You know what? I'm gonna just at the end of the day, we'll put this. This is not the actual photo.
Oh, so it's not on the artboard right now, but you can either move it over or you can just grab all 3 images at once and just pop them into the repeat grid.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll drop you in right now. And then, so we've got 3 images. I'm gonna push you back over so that we're centered up there. And then and I'm going to mask this really quick. So R for rectangle is my key command. I'm drawing that over here. And then V, select both, Command Shift M, mask that. I'm gonna double check my names so that makes it easier on me later. Images, fantastic. And then you can see these guys here.
Nice. Shreya is asking, what do you do when your client asks to complete the work in a small fraction of the time you really need?
Setting expectations, right?
Yeah.
If you find yourself in a situation where someone is saying, I need this thing in an unrealistic time frame, there's always this, it's always yes and. Oh, totally, this is a really great idea. This is what I could be able to do for you within the time frame that was allotted to us. If we have additional time, or if we have additional people, or if we have additional budget, you know, there's a Venn diagram that's it's like speed, quality, and come on, guys, we've all seen this Venn diagram. Anyways, there's 3 different elements. Of course, I'm blanking on the third one. You can't have all 3
right.
because there's no perfect middle. You can have it fast, and you can have it expensive. You can have it. There's trade-offs there. So Shreya, when you find yourself in this situation where you're trying to complete all that, thank you, cost. Yes, well done.
Cost.
When you find yourself in this situation, work with your client to help them understand what are all the different elements involved in creating a really quality design, and make it really clear to them what sort of trade-offs that they're going to be taking on when they're pushing for a faster deadline.
Yeah, I totally agree. And at the end of the day, it's just going to help you, because if you're trying to cram in this massive project into a day or 2 days, one, the quality of work is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And then 2, you're just going to drive yourself insane, which you don't want to do.
Totally. Any other good questions?
Someone's asking, can we sell Adobe XD designs with prototype on Adobe Stock? That's a good question. I don't know if, I know Adobe Stock supports illustrations, they support vectors, photos, Adobe Dimension 3D files. I don't think there's an area right now for actual prototyping files, like XD files. So probably no. I don't think, if there was an area, you'd probably be able to, but I don't think there is a way to upload XD files.
We'll have to add that to the list of ideas that we'll share with
Could be fun though.
So I pulled in this article content. So we've had 2 different ideas so far. One is this quick facts, what makes the Dawn Redwood special.
Yep.
There's the other one was talking about what pests would be commonly preying on this plant. So I have this first paragraph is talking about how to identify this particular tree and what makes it unique. It has, these Dawn Redwoods have what they're called like armpits. Their lower branches are really, their lower trunks are really bowed out, and they have a really interesting way of all the different pieces winding to, or the pieces, the connection between the trunk and the actual branches is really unique to this particular tree.
Interesting.
And then we have all these different character elements of the tree. You know, what is the tree family it's in, soil preferences, etc. And then I have it's a long article. And then other different ways to identify it, like the shape of it, and as well as some of its preferences of soil preferences, temperature preferences. And then I have this disease and pest problem section where it says for this particular tree, there's no common diseases, although cankers can occur, which sounds, did you know that trees could have cankers?
I did not.
No? Okay, well now we do. So this is kind of this content. Some ways that we could play with this more. I don't know if I want to get into it today, but this is just really long scrolling.
I was about to ask, like when you're dealing with something like this, and I'm not sure, you probably have at some point in your day-to-day job, how do you figure out what to prioritize at the top, or how do you kind of goes back to what we were looking at yesterday with the challenge entries. You've got a little bit of a hierarchy, right? You've got things you have to put at the top that you want people to see, because I would imagine a very small percentage of people are going to just scroll and scroll and scroll, scroll. Yeah,
I try to always remember what is the customer problem I'm trying to solve, and that's why the very first thing that we talked about yesterday is what is the problem we're trying to solve with this particular app. And it's the base problem is identification. And then obviously there's secondary and tertiary customer problems as well, like identifying potential diseases or pests, or identifying how to take care of this particular plant. So there's these other secondary and tertiary needs, but I always try to make sure that the primary need is reflected in the hierarchy of the information. And I don't love how this is just like a long like scroll hole of information.
Right.
Because you can get lost there. One way that we could address that is categorizing these different things. So we have identification, and then care, and then plant preferences.
Yep.
And then we could have those in tabs at the top that you could tab through. I don't like personal preference. I don't love tabs because I think there's a discoverability issue there.
Right.
Especially when you're in a small screen on a phone. So you have to be really careful with that, and you have to balance that with what you're working on.
Yeah. Akib is asking, what do you do when people order a $50 design and want $200 design? I mean, you kind of touched on some of that earlier, but it might get to the point, and don't be afraid to say no. Because again, the quality of work isn't going to match up.
Yeah.
And it's going to drive you crazy. Yeah. And mental health is incredibly important as a designer. You got to make sure that you don't burn out.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might just have to say no, set those expectations like Amy was talking about. Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There'll be more.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, making however your clients are finding you, whether it's on your website or whether it's the base quotes for how you're structuring how you're going to be working on the project, make sure that you're communicating very clearly the different steps of the design so that they can understand. You're like, here's the time turnaround that it's going to take. Here's what I'm going to provide for you, and provide different levels of not quality, but you have a $50 option and have a $200 option,
right,
so that they can evaluate between the two different options so that they can balance their needs and their budget as well, because you want to make sure that it's really clear to them what they're going to be getting from you, so that you can, again, it's maintaining your customer trust throughout the entire engagement. You're designing the interaction with your own clients as well, but you want to make it really clear what they're going to expect, so that there's no mismatch later on down the road.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think I've definitely run into this where clients ask for something, whether it's a logo or a full website or whatever it might be, and because they don't have a design background, they just assume you can just whip up a logo in 10 minutes, or you make a website in 5 clicks, right? So
super easy, right?
Totally easy.
Although it's getting easier and easier every day, but
it is getting easier.
Still, it's not quite that easy yet.
Yeah. Igor is asking, Howard, do you know when Adobe XD will add Photoshop export, or do you know how? So I don't believe we'll have the ability anytime soon to take an Adobe XD file and open it in Photoshop, because there's a lot of different features and compatibility. If you open an XD file, if you were to be able to open an XD file in Photoshop, repeat grids would break, components would break. There's a big undertaking there. However, I think we'll start to see more cross functionality between Adobe XD and Photoshop, so you'll be able to take images very quickly, open them up in Photoshop. Creative Cloud libraries might be improving at some point this year. So there'll be a lot of things like that will allow you to go back and forth. I know one of the reasons that a lot of people want to be able to open XD files in Photoshop is so that developers can access all of those layers and everything like that. So again, it goes back to what I was talking about. The layers probably wouldn't match up. There would be a lot of things that would break. But what we've actually found is talking to developers, most of them don't want to be able to take a massive file and just scrape through all the layers in Photoshop, because sometimes you can have hundreds, if not thousands of layers. Developers don't want to deal with that. That's kind of why we're really developing and focusing on design specs, being able to mark layers for export, being able to provide developers colors, character styles, components, and that sort of thing. And that will definitely improve over time. Yeah. But it's not off the table. You never know. If there's enough need for it and there's good reason behind it, and I would love to hear, Igor, your reasoning, exactly why you want to take an XD file and open it up in Photoshop.
Awesome. what I've done so far is I've just pulled, I've made 3 artboards and I've shifted the images over within this mask. So one of the things that we're going to be working on next is allowing the customer to scroll through those images. So we've got an article page. If we were to take this to the next step, I'd want to push more on how we can crunch this information up together, add categories, make it more scannable, and see if there's additional things that we could push in on to add the quality of information that we're providing our customer and make it more clear. So we've got this article page. The last piece that I wanted to do was navigation. So we have this, I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, we've got this add to my trees. The idea that you can have you can save a particular tree to access later, if it's in your yard or if it's a tree that you want to have in the future. We want to have this ability to add to a tree, but today we don't really have this. We don't have a structure for adding navigation there. If you'll notice, we don't have any persistent navigation throughout this whole thing. So I'm going to pull in a hamburger menu up in the top left corner that we're going to be able to tuck content like your trees and additional things that we're going to put
You should make instead of like a hamburger, you should make it look like little needles on a tree.
Ooh, I like it. Yes.
Get fun with it.
Yeah, oh, let's do it for sure. Okay, cool. So let's make that first and foremost. I played around with this hamburger menu. So I have a hamburger there, and we can, the beauty of this edit master component, I love the idea. So let's make, so this is nothing fancy, right? It's just 3 lines with, I wonder, can we?
Oh, probably not with lines, but
I could do a shape instead.
Yeah.
Watch this. So let's do a rectangle. It'll be very tiny, right? That's a rectangle. I want to change this. I did V, and then I'm going to do pen, adding, oops. And then, how do I add a point? Why are you not?
Oh, if you double click on the rectangle, and then you just click.
Oh, just click. I was trying to do.
Yep, just a little boop.
A little boop?
A little boop.
Okay, so I want that to go away. I want that to go away, and I want to make this, yes. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, we can.
It may not. Thing with these things like this, they're so small, and you may not be able to notice the details.
The benefit of.
Yeah.
Well, let's play with it. You know, you don't know until you try.
That's true. It sounded good in my head.
Why aren't you? The beauty of learning on the fly.
Indeed.
Cool. So make you there, make you go away, make you go away. Okay, here's a question for you too.
Yep.
How do I get the handles? So it's a single point.
Yep.
I know how to do this in Illustrator, but I don't.
If you double click, they should pop up.
Yeah, that's what I was trying. Boop. Nope. Okay.
It's possible because it's only a single point on each side. That could be messing with it. Because the other side had handles at some point. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
This may not be the best thing.
You know what? Okay, but I love the idea of how can we make this more clever and creative. But we'll leave these guys for now. So this is my component, right? And this is the master component there. What we're gonna do now is I want to pull in the navigation pane just ahead of time. This has the component here, and then I have a couple different placeholder content. A new search. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I was doing new search equals take another photo of a tree, but I wasn't sure if it was the best connection point. Oh, it looks like we're at the chat and win.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we can go into that in a second. But for now, chat and win.
All right. So we're gonna take a very quick break. When we come back, what should we ask them?
How do they think of taking another picture of a tree?
Okay.
What's the wording there?
Yeah. So give us that feedback, and when we come back, one of you will win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. And we are back. So throw some feedback in the chat or just type whatever it is you might want to type. We got Catherine and Sarah, Amina,
Rebecca,
Eco, Rebecca. Rebecca wants stickers. She added 2 S's at the end of that.
Amina.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, Catherine just ordered some stickers. Well, you might win some stickers, possibly. Cool. So someone was asking earlier, how do you feel about the difference between hamburger menu and tab navigation? Like when do you do tab navigation? When do you do hamburger menus?
There's definite trade-offs between both. There's obviously hamburgers are quite divisive in that some people love them, some people hate them.
Yep.
Hamburgers are really great, or hamburgers are delicious, period. Hamburger menus. Oh,
Anissa,
yeah.
we got a winner.
Yeah.
Anissa from Los Angeles. 100 free stickers, so someone from Behance will reach out to you very shortly. And if you still want to grab some stickers, go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19. You can grab 10 stickers for $1.
Ooh.
Fancy.
So hamburgers, though, hamburger menus are great if you have more than 3 or 4
Yep.
elements within your navigation. Tabs are great because you can see it's more faced out. It's more clear. The customers know what's available to them without having to interact with the element. But it isn't particularly scalable if you have if you have a lot of content within your navigation menu. So there's a trade-off between both. So it depends on what the job is you're trying to do.
Yeah. What about a shish kebab menu?
That sounds delicious.
I don't know. William's asking.
Apparently, William also is hungry
Me
as
too.
well. Where's that salad when you need it? Fantastic. Okay, so we've got this menu. It's not particularly fancy or anything like that. One thing that I love to do, I'm gonna just drop this in here and we'll come back to it, is I want to play around with this idea of having a map that's showing like what other people are around you, what other people are looking at trees, etc. So I just made a rectangle. I'm using a plugin. The way I found it is Discover Plugins Search Maps Generator. I'm gonna do that, and then where's the last person? Like where they live? Someone.
Yeah, someone throw a
someone
a
give
name.
me a zip code or a place.
Yeah.
I'm gonna test in. Anissa, why don't you tell us where you're at, because
Anissa's in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
I know
Okay,
that
cool.
one,
Let's do that. Los Angeles and boop.
Bam.
Like that. So, Anissa, this is your app. You are in Los Angeles. Actually, I don't want to have that pin. So I'm going to go back here, plugin Maps Generator, and I'm going to remove this location pin. And I want it a little bit more zoomed in than that. So I'm going to regenerate that map. Perfect. This makes me feel like it's a little bit closer to home. And then I don't like the border. I'm going to take that bad boy off. And I'm going to use one of our little trees from back here. And I said tree, but I meant leaf. That one of these digital leaves. I'm going to copy you, and I'm going to make them tiny, tiny as little pins.
Got New York, Miami, 305. I got a 305 phone number. Anissa in Los Angeles. Samuel, I think that's also Los Angeles. What's up, Samuel? I met Samuel at Max last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this little map, and then I'll do something where, oops. I'm gonna drag, drop that. Trees near. Here's a fun little tidbit. You'll want to make whenever you're doing copy within an app, you want to make sure that you're consistent with using the words me or you. So if I'm talking to your trees, if let's say this first one said your trees, then I would say trees near you for this text here. But since I have my trees up here and I'm using add to my trees, it's very possessive, then I'm going to say trees near me. So it's one of those things that you want to pay attention to when you're writing copy. You need to have consistency there. So pick one, have a perspective, and
I bet you a lot of people, especially the designers who are just starting out, don't even think of these things.
Totally. Well, and once you start being aware of it, then you start recognizing how it's done incorrectly.
Totally.
And so it's a nuance for how you deal with that. I don't love this. Why does this look weird?
I think Los Angeles needs more trees.
Yeah. This feels strange. I don't like that this is left or center aligned, but I was trying to match with that up there. Because it starts with a 4, it just feels weird.
It could be that. It also feels like, because the styling is the same as the links above it, to me it feels like it could be a link.
Okay.
Is it a link?
I was thinking it would be a link.
Okay.
But also I want the whole map to be a link, so I wonder if maybe I could change. I think that's a really good point. Oops. I think maybe we should change it to like an H1. That feels really. Maybe I don't want the. Or let's do this. Change it to base. Find trees near me.
You can go back and forth on this for hours.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, so the idea is here. This is not perfect, but the idea is here that we have this way to develop this community around this tree identification that you can find what other people are doing. So we all recognize that there's an opportunity to continue to improve that, but now we have this nav menu. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that in a little bit so that you can access it. But I need to have an ingress point for on all these other pages for how you can get to it. So let's talk about which ones we want to provide an opportunity for the customer to be able to jump into a nav. I would say that we wouldn't want to have it on the splash screen for this is our new customer experience. They have to hit get started before they're able to gain benefit from accessing the nav. So I'm not going to put it there. Same with this tutorial. I feel like you need to go through this tutorial before you start jumping into the nav. With the camera, I want this to be an immersive experience. So you need to either focus. You need to be everything. All the tools need to be focusing you on how to take that photo. So the primary action we're going to be driving towards on this screen is the shutter click. And then this is a loading screen. I don't want them to jump off to that. So I actually think the first screen that we're going to have this hamburger on is this results page here.
Nice.
So I'm going to drop that in. In general, this is the width of this one. I believe it's 55. You want to have 44 pixels and above is like minimum for tap targets, because you want to make sure that it's not too small for the customer to be able to tap into it.
Yep.
I'm going to copy and paste this so that we don't lose, or it doesn't wiggle around too much. And then I'm also going to put it down here in these article pages.
Oh, I have a pro tip for you afterwards.
Yeah. Awesome.
Once you actually wire up the navigation, I have a tip for you.
Oh, perfect. I'm excited. Okay.
William was asking, do you work with copywriters on projects, or do you do all of that yourself or within the design team?
That's actually a really great question. Specifically with me, because I work at Amazon, I'm in-house, and so I have fantastic UI writers that I work with. But for me as a designer, I think it's really, really important that when you are designing something, you're not just designing how it looks, but you're designing the entirety of the experience. And so that involves really closely intertwined with what are the actual words on your UI.
Yep.
So I spend a lot of time thinking about how to structure that information really clearly. And when I'm working with my UI writers, I've been working with them enough that I've learned a lot of their thinking process as well, so I'm trying to make their job as easy as possible, because whenever we say, oh yeah, well the UI writer's going to take care of that, that's when it makes their job harder, first of all, and it you don't solve some of the more important design issues early on. So for example, if let's say you need 6 words to have it be really clear where this tree is being added to, you need to have your design account for that, size-wise, things like that. And if you're dealing with like a localization, there's some words are longer. So, like German has really long words for things. So how can you adjust your design so it can flex accordingly? So yeah, so I do work with copywriters, but it doesn't mean you're off the hook.
Totally, yeah. And Val is asking, can there be a scavenger hunt mini game?
Ooh, I love this idea.
Yes, there has to be this. We're gonna invite you back for a whole week, and we're gonna design a scavenger hunt
fun.
with trees and plants and bushes. And
I just love scavenger hunts. Period.
Yeah.
So a plant scavenger hunt would just be so fantastic.
Totally.
Cool. So we've got this nav, we've got this other thing. Now let's start playing around with some of this prototyping. So let me talk through some of my thinking process a little bit, because a lot of, when we're dealing with prototypes, a lot of it is visualizing how you want the different pieces to come in and making sure that you're structuring your pages accordingly. So a lot of the things that I've been showing you guys up to this point, I have this idea of how I want the different content to flow in and out. But then if you change your mind, if you change the design, then you sometimes will have to lots of copying and pasting. So I want this nav to slide in from the left because that's where my hamburger menu is. And I want the background to be dimmed out. So my question for you, Howard, is if I want to have the background dimmed out, that adds kind of a tricky element there, because I could, I'll show you guys while I'm talking through this. So I could say I want this page to go to this. Oh, whoops, that's not on a board. Okay, let me do that really quick. Did you guys catch that? What I did, I just dropped that component onto the what's it called?
Pasteboard.
Pasteboard, thank you. I dropped it onto the pasteboard instead of onto a thing, so I can't actually prototype to it until it's in an artboard. Okay, now it's in an artboard. So what I could do, nav. All right, so option 1, I come in here and I say when I click that hamburger button, I want it to go to this nav. I untap. The transition is going to overlay, and the animation is I want to slide. I always get, I know. On his point, I get left and right confused, and so I think it's slide in from the right.
From the left, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's where it's tricky. So let's see what that looks like, and then let's talk about why. First of all, so click, boop, nice. So that's one option, and it's in a lot of ways that's probably the simpler option. I kind of wanted to have the background be dimmed out, but in order to do that, I think I'd have to do 2 screens.
Yeah, so at the moment, if you wanted a dimmed out background, you have a few options. You can either do 2 screens like you were talking about, but then if you're dealing with a navigation that's going to appear on many, many different artboards, you would have to have a duplicate of every single one. Probably don't want that. Option 2 is you can build a dimmed out, you can build basically a rectangle on the navigation artboard, or the overlay, with a decreased opacity. However, that will slide in with it. So it'll look a bit weird and funky. I think it's something on the team's radar to add like background blurs and dims and things like that as part of overlays, but it's not available yet. So, or you can add, a harsher drop shadow to the overlay, which could kind of
give me a little bit of space. Okay, cool. Let's. So, for the sake of our keeping things moving along today, I'll just leave it where I tap and it slides in, and then as we're refining these animations later, we could fix that. So I have this thing that comes in, and one of the things that I've seen other people do around that I really love is when we come with this 3-line hamburger menu, and then it transitions to an X, so that you have this clear affordance for how to close it. So I want to see if I can do that. Let's see how well I'm able to.
So just to jump ahead a little bit, If you are using an overlay, that I don't believe that will animate. So it'll just kind of appear as an X.
Dang, that is, I forgot that was the reason why.
At least at the moment. Possibly when states are available this year, that might be a thing, but yeah. You'd have to have 2 artboards and then auto-animate between them.
Well, you know, let's play both different options. So, actually, I'm looking at the time. I will come back to that. So right now, this is a perfect tie-in to the $50 design versus $200 design. If we want to, this is a $50 design, and if we want to play around with some of these nuanced micro interactions, then we're talking about a $200 design.
Totally.
But at the end of the day, I need to get an app designed for my customer, and I will put that fun little micro interaction as much as I really want to do it. I'll put that, we'll come back to it if we have time.
Yeah. William's asking, can overlay stack? Is it possible to trigger 2 elements? Not really. There's ways you can have like links within an overlay that kind of links to something else, but it's a weird, funky experience right now. Maybe in the future, that might be a thing. Vlad's asking, why not make the navigation full width? It would make the map more visible.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, the reason I was thinking of having it not full width is because in order to maintain context, but you know, what the heck, let's change that. Oh, whoops, I'm in prototype mode. Sometimes sometimes I do this. I'm in prototype mode and I started design thinking, but I didn't switch modes, so I just changed over.
What I would love if anyone from the XD team is watching, if you're in prototype mode and you start pressing shortcut keys like R for rectangle or
Just
E
pop
for
me over
ellipse,
there.
just go back to design mode.
Yeah. Cool. Then let's do that guy. Then send. Oop, not that way. I probably could have used responsive resize for that.
Possibly.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Next time. Guys,
Blame it on the budget.
Guys, yeah, this is $50 design. We're cutting things left and right.
You don't get any responsive resize in this tier.
Okay, cool. So, and then this now, because I feel like this has to be an X, right? Are you guys with me? So that it's a clear get out. Get out place. Yeah, get out.
Get out.
All right, so can I just do that? Nope. That X looks stupid. Why does it look stupid?
It's a bit squished. I think if you pull the sides in, it'll...
Can I... Oh. Come on. Looks so good. Who loves it? 50. It'll be my new theme.
That looks a bit better.
It's so retarded. Or what we can do this. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna rotate it 40. Oh, geez, math. 45 degrees, right? With me? Yes, 45 degrees. And I want this one to be negative 45. Boop. I want you to go away. I want you guys to be center aligned. There we go.
Fancy.
All right. So now we know that that's genuine. Let's double check that for fun to make sure that I didn't screw anything up. I click that. All right. Cool. Now we have. Oh, and then you know what? I need to have the. I want to have the X. Oh. That was interesting. It did automatically.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So by default, if you don't wire anything from the overlay, it not only reverses the transition, so it'll slide left instead of right, but it'll also go back to the previous artboard.
Hot dang. If anyone from the XD team is watching, tell them thank you for that automatic working.
Yeah.
And then while I'm here in this nav, I want to do some of these things. So if I want to do a new search, I'm going to actually have you come up here to do to go to camera, but I don't want it to be an overlay. I want it to be a transition. You guys with me? New search, going over to the camera. Oh, we forgot to ask. Do you guys think when you hear new search, is that clear to your mental model of how we're working that it's going to be taking a new photo, or should we say new photo?
I would think new search.
Yeah.
Only because they've probably gone through the tutorial already.
Yeah.
It also depends on what the copy is within that tutorial.
Yeah.
If the tutorial says search, or if it says capture, or if it says identification.
It says use a camera. We don't talk about searching at all.
Okay.
So maybe, oh, look, Richard says new photo. Oh,
Vlad
says no.
New scan. New scan, okay. Scan is interesting.
I like it. The beauty of this is it's just text and we can come back to it. So we'll play around with that a little bit more. But the idea is here that I'm a big double checker, so I come to new search. Awesome, that's me. Things are happening. Cool. So I'm gonna start from the beginning just now I'm gonna be stitching these screens together. I would assume text using search. Capture new match. Search is better than photo. Photo makes me think I'm gonna take a photo from my photos gallery.
Oh yeah, possibly.
Cool. I design a hamburger menu, but my clients want pizza. Good joke. Okay, cool. If you want to click the little house next to the home screen, this is where you're going to start with. And I tapped get started, and I dragged this down here, but it preserved the overlay. So I actually want this to be a auto animate transition, because if you guys remember, I talked about wanting to do this wipe between the two. So let's talk about that for a sec. Let's see first of all where we're at, and then we'll talk about what we want to do. So it just transitioned through. What I really want to do is I really want this white square to wipe up and reveal the photo of the leaf through that Illustrator version of the leaf. So let's first of all, let me double check to make sure I didn't my layer names are working for me. So I've got this Illustrator leaf, I've got a photo of the leaf, and then I've got this one is my medium card. So and then what have we got here? Then see, I grouped all that together. That's why. I want to...
So you can either ungroup them, which you'd have to ungroup them on all of them, or on the first screen, just put everything in a group called tutorial.
I like that. I like this plan.
Or whatever the group is called.
So I'm going to have you guys and the leaf, not the logo. Sometimes I get lost in my layers.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to control group and call it, was it tutorial 1 or was it just tutorial?
I think there was a 1 at the end.
Cool. Let's assemble. I wonder if that's going to do it automatically. Yeah, almost. Did you guys see that? I'll play that again. So, and sometimes for funsies, if I'm trying to play around with these transitions, prototype mode, I'll like bump up this speed.
Yeah.
A lot, so
yeah,
because that way it helps me see what's happening a little bit better. So I get started, woo, and then it goes blah, and I don't like that. So what is the best way to do that? I wonder if is this a mask opportunity? I feel like this is a mask opportunity.
It could be. Play that one more time.
Yeah. So hit get started, and it wipes up, right? And then the leaf switches right at the end. What I want it to do is as the white's wiping up, I want it to push the illustrated leaf with it.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. If you want to get super simple, you can just have the opacity change, so you have 0 on one, 100% on the other one, or the other way around. Or if you want to get fancy with it, then you can definitely use masks.
Let's see if we can do the mask in not too difficult of a way. So I want to do design. I'm going to do a rectangle here, and I want it to show the full, I want it to be the full mask here. I'll call this a mask. I'm going to drop this down into my tutorial, and I'm going to have it mask the Illustrator leaf, Control-Shift-M. Now I'm going to call it an illustrated.
So it did look like the illustrated leaf was masked already.
Ooh,
Do you think you can use that mask as it was?
That's a good catch. Yeah. Yes. Oh, fantastic. Cool. Let's make you go away. And then that's already there. Excellent. So then if we come over here, if my Illustrator leaf, excellent. Then what we'll do here, ooh, this is so fantastic. So I want it to come with it.
Fancy.
Wait, is that the right one?
I think so.
Okay, cool. Is that gonna work for us?
There's only one way to find out.
Oh man, I'm so excited. Yeah.
All right.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Do we like it?
That's cool. I think a few tweaks here and there, but yeah, it's coming along.
It's yeah, cool. Well, so then I'm gonna fix this.
And once you do make the speed adjustment like you're about to do, those little tiny nuances, probably no one's gonna notice.
Yeah. So if we drop it back down like that, cool.
I would probably also, just a quick recommendation is right now the easing is set to ease in. I would do in and out.
In and out, yeah.
So that way it's kind of slow at the beginning and then slow at the end.
I like it. Then the corner markers can appear after the white base has appeared. Kartik, I think that's a good recommendation. There's no way to sequence this right now, correct? The sequencing of the appearance between, because it'd be, if I'm understanding what Kartik's suggestion is, which I think is really great, is it wipes up and then the corners, these little photo corners appear afterwards.
So, no, you would have to have, right now you'd have to have
artboards.
2 different artboards.
Well, let's do it. I think that, so we have this guy.
The team is definitely working on more advanced animations, animation control.
Yeah.
So, states might help with that coming this year. A few other things maybe coming this year. You never know.
So much good stuff. That was a very knowing you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Lots coming.
Yeah, totally.
I know things.
So proud of yourself right now. Okay, cool. So I just changed it. So Get Started goes to this other one without the corners, and I have it auto-animated, and then I want to have, and that's on tap, right? And so then I want this to go to this screen based with a time trigger, and I want it to be pretty, I don't want a delay, and I want it to, do I want it to auto animate or do I want it to just transition? I think I want it to transition.
Yeah, probably transition with a dissolve, I would say.
Yeah, cool. I like it to dissolve. Cool. Let's do a quick tease that to see wipe. Yeah. Oh,
Ooh.
So much better. Thank you, Kartik. Good suggestion. Cool.
Nice. This is why designing live is so cool.
Yeah.
You've got like all these art directors just in the chat giving us suggestions. Yeah.
Cool.
And a very quick tip, because we see this this question a lot, is people ask about the time trigger. The time trigger, like Amy just showed, is only available if you have an entire artboard selected. And the reason is because if the time trigger was available on individual elements, it would kind of, and you were to add time on several of them, only the first one would work because you're transitioning to another artboard, right?
Yeah.
Of course, once we get more advanced animation control and you have timing control over like which comes in first, then that might change. But at the moment, you have to have an artboard selected, and then that time trigger will be available.
Yeah. I like Kevin Worth, your comment about stump the trees sounds like cut trees down. I totally agree. I was drawing out all this, and I have like it says, please don't stump the tree, and it says ouch. So I'm with you. I think that there's probably some clever things that we could do about how to make it not sound like a tree killing app, because that's not the point of the app.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay, cool. So we've got this animation here. The next thing I want to do for these tutorials is I want them to be able to swipe through them. So what I've done is I've made this a group. Oh, gotta go back to design. I made this a group, and so I want to have this. I've made each of these 3 pages a group. I'm gonna have this pull in here. Alt drag. You guys need to get along. Cool. So I have. Wait, did I screw that up?
Elisa is asking, could you import animations? Not at the moment. The team is working on GIF support, and possibly once states really starts to get really crazy, you might be able to import and save animations into your libraries and things like that, but not at the moment.
So I'm doing peaks between this. I'm copying and pasting it. I've given them a little bit of spaced out between them because sometimes when I have lots of hangover of content off of an artboard, it will like accidentally jump onto a different artboard if they're right close together. I don't know if that's just like if there's a better workaround for that.
Yeah, if they're not all part of the same group,
that's
like
right.
a parent group, then it might spill over. Otherwise, if they are part of a group, then it doesn't matter how far you drag it off, it'll remain within that artboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So I'm giving these peaks. This is why I left them alone before, because I wanted to be able to, if we wanted to move stuff around, I didn't want to have to like re-copy and paste everything in.
Yeah.
And then I copy you.
Adik is very excited for GIF support. I'm not sure when it's coming, but the team is definitely working on it.
That was one of the things that I was excited about. I wanted to have, for this photo, I wanted to have it be like a video or a GIF or something that could play them to make you feel a little bit more
totally
immersive. Okay, so I have these peaks between these different things. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back into prototype mode. When you're on this, let's zoom in a little bit. So when you're on this screen, I want on drag, I want it to bring you over here. So trigger, drag, auto animate to tutorial, and no easing. So what that's gonna do is that's gonna pull it over here. I also want to have this one, if you overreached it, I also want that one to drag over as well. So you can pull forward. And then for this one, you know, again, this prototype, ideally it would be dragging left or versus dragging right. I don't think we have directional drag support. But so the way I'm building this prototype is to say, okay, for the initial time a customer comes through this tutorial, they're most likely going to be swiping this way. So I'm gonna build it naturally to go that way.
Yep.
But I'm gonna, this one here, if I'm pulling on that side, chances are I'm wanting to go back that way. You guys with me? I'll show you in a sec. So then what we're doing here, here's what we've got so far. Get started, wipe, shows up, so cool. Drag, I can go back this way. Drag, drag.
Fancy.
Drag. So good. Cool. And then we're going to say allow camera access is going to cause this to come not as a transition. It's on tap, and it's going to, the action is going to overlay it. Give us that. Allow. Cool, I tapped through, I double clicked enough to get, because that's all grouped up together. So if you keep on double clicking, you get down to it.
You can also hold down Command on the Mac or Control to just dive directly into a group or mask or component. Perfect. Just grab a layer.
Nice. And then allow comes down to the camera, but not as an overlay on tap. It will, let's do a transition there. And then when I'm here in this camera, this is going to bring us over. I had this, we played around with this yesterday. So when you tap the shutter shutter button, it takes you to this thinking space. We're gonna come back to this loading animation here. We've got big ideas. And then this one is going to be a time element, and then we're gonna come down here. But I'm gonna skip that connection point because we're gonna build out the the animation for the loading icon, and it's going to have several screens, and then that final screen is going to point down to this first results page. And so then for this first results page, I'm going to do the same sort of thing as what I just did above with the carousel design. Oop, go over to design mode, copy. I want to put UV. So you're going to stay on the right artboard? Correct. Awesome. Good job. So proud of myself. Self-affirmation is really important, guys.
Oh, it really is.
You're amazing. I'm so proud of you, Amy.
Give yourself high fives as you're designing.
Okay, cool. So copy and paste that guy in. And then on this one, copy and paste to you in. Nice. Sweet. So then, before I jump into animating those, I want to have, maybe I should have done this. the order of events is always tricky. So what I want to, when I click this button for add to my trees, what I want to do is I want this image to go whoop up into the hamburger menu, because I want it to teach my customers that if you're adding something to your trees, I want it to visual, like I want the transition to teach them where to find it later. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate, Command D, and then I'm going to drag this over, and then I'm going to, this will make sense in a second, I think. As long as I'm doing it right, and then it won't make any sense, and we'll go from there.
Oops and whoops. Yes. Gotta have sound effects when you design it.
Cool. So then I drag that up. Why is it dim?
I think it's in a mask.
Oh.
Possibly. Oh, no, it's in a component.
Oh.
So there's a bounds of that component that is kind of floating.
Oh, cool. Okay, perfect. No, that's great. So what I'll do is, oh geez. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna ungroup that from a component. So I'm doing it to both of them so that they can stay friends. Okay, that one's no longer a component either. So then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, is that, why are you being difficult now?
Yeah,
it's still in that other
component.
Oh man.
Yeah. So maybe just copy that image and just paste it on top of everything.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I want you to be out.
It's still in a component.
Why are you doing me like that, man?
Yeah, so copy it and then select like the topmost layer, which is the bald cypress, and then just paste it. There you go.
Boop, boop. And then boop, yes. Way to go. And now it's on top of my flag.
Oh.
Oh boy. Okay, well, you know what? We'll fix that in a sec. It'll be so good. I'll come here. I'm going to, no, I need to fix that now. Where's my flags at? This is why it's important to name your layers. So this is the flag. So then you, I'm going to pull you out of the component as well. Cool. Now I'm going to alt drag that. So then here is my picture. I'm going to move you up to here. And I want to make it smaller so that it's like the same size as the circle behind my hamburger menu. So, because I want to have it go in behind it. And then I'm gonna have you come up there. So let's see if I go back into prototype mode, and then I want, when I click this, I'm gonna have the whole thing be the top target. It's important, like, yes, the plus is the button, but it's nice to extend a tap target to follow where your customer's intention is.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have that whole thing be the top target. I'm gonna have it go here, and let's see if it worked. That's always fun, right? No, it didn't work. Well, that's,
so I think it's set to a transition instead of auto animate.
Ah, look at you, like a boss. Okay, fantastic. This is, we all need a Howard that sits next to us and lovingly points out the mistakes that we make when we do it. Nope, I don't want to go there. Let's start from this page. Yeah, okay, guys, look it. It did it. Cool. And then what I'd like is I'd like to have this automatically go back to, ooh. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. I was gonna say, if a time transition, have it actually go back to here, but I want to also have this text change to say added, because I want the affordance to communicate to my customer that they've had success there. Added to my tree. That text is too similar, so I'll just say added.
Val would happily accept Howard as a hovering art director. Yes.
your new career.
That's my new career,
the little like design angel on someone's shoulder.
It's like Lyft, but for art directors.
So, that sounds exhausting for you, but wonderful for everybody else. I'm excited for that future. And you know, if we were playing around with some of these micro interactions, I'd also like to make this plus now become a check. That would be pretty nice. So we'll come back to that. That'll be our $200 design.
I keep thinking of all the amazing ways that states are going to make this process so much
States,
better.
man.
Soon. Coming this year.
I'm super excited about
Me
that.
too.
So we have this button. I'm going to, yeah, cool. That's what I wanted to do. So now I'm going to do the cycling through. Go back into prototype mode. If I get to this world, I still want to be able to transition over, right? So there's that. I come to this page, and I want you to be able to go forward that way. You go forward. Am I? Nope. Dang it! I was doing all these as. I wanted to auto animate. So the goal here, see how I did that? Oh, it did say auto animate. Yay. I'm right, and I didn't even know it. Awesome. So that's auto animate. Here, I want you to auto animate forward. I want you to auto animate forward. And I want you to go, oops, not you. Come on, guys. You to go backward. And then on this page, I want you to go backwards too.
Vlad is asking about micro interactions and auto animate for developers, saying, can XD export any code-friendly way? Not totally at the moment. So you can export your components in marked assets so that developers can have access to that stuff. CSS is coming soon, so I think Andrew Shorten confirmed that in the next update you'll have CSS snippets in design specs. And of course, that probably won't help too much with animation. But as we start developing, as we continue to develop components and then introduce states, I'm sure at some point there will be definitely more code-friendly ways to either export animations or provide something to your developers that might help.
Nice. I noticed I screwed up some of these triggers. I had tap for some of them, but drag for others. So I'm going back and just double checking that really quick. That's drag. So hopefully this is an encouragement to other people. Maybe I'm just making myself feel better, but none of us get it right the first time. No. So feel better.
The problem is we live in a dribble world.
You're like, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Everything looks perfect, and you just assume, oh, this person uploads all these amazing shots. It must take them 10 minutes. It doesn't. Yeah. We sit here, we notice things like this where things crossfade instead of animate, and we just go crazy.
Yeah. So you guys with me on, so this is a fun one because I made those grouping changes after I copied and pasted it, I get this weird transition space.
Yep.
But this still works. That's exciting. So what I'm going to do is I want to fix that issue. I'm going to go pop over to design. I want to, how do I, because I want this, I want that to not be in the group there. All right, so let me talk through some of the things that I'm struggling with. So I want this flag to be stacked on top of both of the images, but I can't have this image be in the component with the rest of this content. So that means both the flag and the image I said component, have to not be in the component.
Right.
So then, but I also need them to stay grouped together so that they can be referenced. So I wonder if I can have I can group those. I wonder if I can group. So let's see, what am I? Okay, yeah, that. And where's my flag at? I'm gonna bring that flag down here. Make those. Is that gonna work? I might just be screwing everything up here. Let's do, so this is result 1. And then here, what do we got in here? I want this to be result 1.
So Susanna's asking, well, mentioning XD being a one-stop web and app creation platform. I wouldn't go that far just yet. While it would be ideal if you can not only design, but also build and code your websites or apps directly in one application, it's very difficult. Which is kind of why we're starting with being able to pass on design specs to developers and things like that. I'm sure as time goes on, we'll introduce more coding abilities, like CSS is coming in the next update, I believe, and more things like that. But transitioning design to code is very tricky. There are some plugins in XD right now that attempt to do it. Some of them are premium plugins, some of them I think might be free, but even then, it's, especially if you're talking about responsive design, it's super tricky to get right. So you'll still have you'll still need some sort of coding knowledge in order to really deploy it properly so it doesn't break.
Okay, so while you were chatting, I was problem solving this guy. So that still worked. Okay, I played around with, I made a group with all of them still in there, but I had to redo this, this animation just to be on this safe side. That all my layers were correctly labeled, so I copied and pasted it back in. So now I'm just gonna double check some of my animations. Drag auto animate this one. Drag and auto animate, fantastic. So then what I wanna do is, if you guys remember, I copied and pasted this guy in before I started messing with some of those other things, and I want to make sure that it stays the same as the group. So I'm going to actually copy, and here I deleted that, and I'm going to put him back in so that I make sure that it's like a clean copy of that group as I'm trying to, because I'm trying to preserve those layer names as I'm prototyping through. I'm going to drop back over to prototype mode there. Then you need to go back that way, drag, auto animate, so good. So let's see, cross your fingers. Okay, add to my tree, added, awesome. Drag, oh, look, it comes back out. Damn it. Okay, we'll come back and fix that. Cool. So
it's getting closer.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Except for that darn, oh, and then it's gonna suck back out there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I feel like we've played this out enough. Let's move on to the next one so that we can keep things plugging along.
Vlad's asking, I'm confused as to why the image is going inside the navigation since the menu contains actions. Why not have an icon opposite of the nav, one for gallery, and you'd see where your trees are being stored?
I think that's a good idea. I was trying to keep from having too much navigational icons, and so that's I was thinking that I would sort of flatten everything into the one nav menu, because that's where you would find all of your, if you had account information, you would have all of your trees, and it would all just be in that one home.
And this is probably why user testing is so important, because you could potentially design, depending on the budget, several versions of this. One where there's a navigation bar at the bottom, one where there's a hamburger menu, one where there's a pizza for whatever reason, and you just got to get it in the hands of users. Even if you just design one, give it to a user or many users if you have the ability to, and see what the person, if they get confused, if they're asking questions just like Vlad, why is it floating up there? I don't understand. Then you have to revisit and figure things out.
I totally agree, and it's a really great opportunity to ask them where. So if you added this to your trees, where do you think you'd be able to find it later?
Right.
And then you're able to use different micro interactions to teach them. So the one that I'm building towards of having the image like shrink and go up into the nav, that's my effort of saying, here's the thing you're doing, and we threw it up into this other, we moved it up into this other place. Then that's where you'll be able to find it later. But then if you wanted to have all of your trees accessed more readily, like Vlad's idea, then you could have it be moving up into that space.
Yep.
Cool. So we've got all these different things. When you hit this details button, it's going to come down to this article tree. And if you know what? I don't think it's going to work. But I know why. So if I hit this details, wait a sec. Details, not on drag. I want it to be on tap. But what's interesting is this is on tap too. That's what's going on. Okay, cool. So I think that's when I hit details, It was close, but not quite. Did you guys see that? I wanted it to morph, but because I screwed around with this group, I built this other group differently. Right? So, all this.
Vlad also pointed out that the plus button should change to a check mark, and I believe you mentioned that if you had more time and you really want to focus on details, that's something you would have done.
I totally agree with that feedback. I think that's really, really excellent. So I'm going to pull this out just so that we can, and I'm gonna paste this in, move this part up, and then search result, Dawn Redwood, flag. All right, this is where my talkie ability, while all of this breaks down a little bit. So I want to, this is where I'd like to make this component expand, but I'm worried that if I try to do that, it's going to clip it. See, it's clipping it. Is there a way to not have it clip? Because what I want to do is I want to preserve these layers here.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I have this search result as a component.
You could try messing around with the constraints. So under manual on the side. Yeah, try turning.
Okay.
So you want that white box in the background to
I want the white box to go wider. So my goal is here to have this white box go wider, so it uses up the full screen a bit more.
Right.
And then we'll remove this this button.
Yeah.
And then have you go up. But then and I have this with my. Oops. I don't know how I managed to get a card within a card like that. Good one, Amy.
And that may confuse, if you remove it there, that may confuse.
Then it's gonna mess up the other. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to enlarge it if you get the right constraints going down. You should be able to do that on the overall component.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so, if I edit the master.
No, even on the instance. Mm-hmm. If you have just the overall search result component selected.
Yeah.
Then it should be able to, with responsive resize, it should be able to just enlarge.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah. You
killed it again. Man, everyone needs a Howard.
Kristen's saying, I like how Amy thinks out loud. It's my favorite part of the stream. Do you do that at work? Or are there too many people around you that are just weird?
I sit in this beautiful corner with my buddy Ryan, and sometimes I do talk to myself, but it's more of the benefit for my amazing watchers. But when my kids, I'll do design work while my kids are sitting with me, and so I've been a part of enough research studies where they're like, I'd like for you to think out loud. So I do that for the benefit of my children or for you lovely folks who are watching us. But yeah, I do the thinking out loud pretty well.
Oh, so Suzanne linked arborday.org/tree/whattree. It sounds like it's a database of trees and plants and stuff. She's asking if it's going to be hooked into.
Totally, that would be I was looking at Arbor Day's database for this as well. The goal that it would be referencing some additional databases. Obviously, there's going to be agreements and dependencies there for what the actual data source would be.
And what's cool is probably we wouldn't be able to really show this for a stream like this because we only have 5 minutes until design feedback, by the way. But using a plugin like Google Sheets, you can actually grab databases from places like this, either as a Google Sheet or a CSV, and then use all that information to load actual data into your mockups.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, there's not enough time. I forget who mentioned it earlier when you want to do so much in such a short period of time,
it
does get tricky.
Interesting. So Charlotte is asking, and I'll take a crack at this first. Do you need to be able to code as a UI or UX designer working with clients? If I don't code, what's the best way to transport files to developers? So it's a question that we hear all the time, and there's a debate, right? Whether you need to code. And the short answer is, it really depends.
Yeah.
Some people prefer to have some coding knowledge. Some people, like yourself, it also depends on the company.
Yeah.
So for Amazon, for example, or even for a company like Adobe or whatever it might be, the designers typically design, and they don't really have to code because they have development teams and engineers and some very smart people that you just pass on your designs to and you work collaboratively. What I always try to say is you may not necessarily need to code to the extent where you're developing whatever it is you're designing, but it's always good to understand what's going on once you pass something along, because that will help determine and drive your designs. Because sometimes we hear, sometimes I'll post shots on Dribbble that are just ridiculously insane, and I know that they're probably not, they're probably not possible to code or very difficult. And you don't want to find yourself in that situation where you're designing and you're knowing you're going to pass something along, and you pass it along, and the engineer's like, this is literally impossible to do anything with. So having a basic knowledge of CSS, HTML, maybe some Swift or whatever it is you're thinking about developing for, is always super helpful, just so you know what you can do and what you can't do.
I strongly agree, and it's because I can't write code, but I can have a working understanding of how my engineers back-end database is structured. And especially when you're working with design systems, which is the thing that I really love doing, I think it's really important for your mental model as a designer to accurately reflect, maybe not to the same level of detail as an engineer's would, but to accurately reflect the mental model for how the system is built on. Because then you'll be able to have much better communication and connection with your engineers when you're working on that.
And to answer the second part is, what's the best way to transport files to developers? It also depends. XD does have integration with Zeppelin, which a lot of product teams do use. We can also export design specs, which provides developers with character styles, colors, components, paddings, spacings, eventually CSS. So it might help a little bit.
Cool. Well, I think we're just about out of time. I wanted to show what I was trying to get to. So we're here. When you click details, I wanted it to stay within context. And then what I want to do next, sort of, as I'm continuing to work on this, some of the other design elements that I want to do is I want to have this image up here. I want to have it on drag, where if I can pull it back down, actually I can do that really fast. So then what we'll do here is I'll have this on drag come back up to here. You guys with me? So then if I come here, click, play, details, come back up, drag comes back down.
Fancy.
Yeah, cool. So then that's how I'd be able to play between those. What I need to do next is I need to fix this image. In kind of messing around trying to fix some of the stuff that I broke, I lost this. I want to have these photos work together, so I would actually have on drag, I want that to go forward. So this idea where it would look like, no, it's not gonna, okay, the idea is you drag through the photos. For that, depending on what the plan is for this prototype, if I was going to have it be in a research study, I'd want to plumb in all of these different buttons. So all these different add to my tree buttons would need to work, so it says added. Then I would want to make sure that all these menu icons would pull in.
So speaking of that,
let
me show you a quick, quick tip. So
you
have one wired up already, right?
Yes, this one. Nope, this one. I do have one. It'll be great.
It's around something.
Yes,
that's the one. So you're in prototype mode right now. You see the wire. Go ahead and copy that, just Command-C. And then on all the other, go ahead and delete all the hamburger menus.
Ooh, I love what you're telling me.
Just delete all of them.
I think that was
all right. So now on all the other artboards that you want that hamburger, just select all the artboards, so hold shift and just click on all the other ones.
Control V?
Yeah. And look at all those lovely ones.
Howard, look at you.
Magic.
That's fantastic. Okay, so now let's see what we've done. I'm gonna come back here. All right, hey, look, it's a super cool app, Stump the Tree. Let's get identify trees quickly and easily with just a photo. Get started. Whoop. Swipe diddly. Swipe. I would love to allow camera access. Allow. Look at that good tree. Take that picture. Boom. Oh, damn.
We didn't do the loading.
It was going to be so good, guys. Okay, then.
Maybe if we have time after the reviews.
Yeah. Then, okay, so then.
Breeze through it.
Then we'll come back here. Okay, then after. Now, oh, look, it's the tree that I was always loved. Add to my trees. Look at that. I can swipe to look at what other trees. Still with that one's on click. Okay, I'm going to swipe back. Check it all out. Details. Nice. And then, oh look, all of the menus work. And then I can swipe back here, get to this menu. Guys, trees.
Trees.
It's happening. Okay.
All right, cool. So let's hop over. Oh, here, Paco's on it. That was a heck of a transition. I couldn't even say it first. All right, so design feedback. So Sam has been doing the Daily Creative Challenge since Tuesday. And here's, if you go to behance.net/challenge/XD, you can find all the information. And today is an onboarding experience. So let's go ahead and hop into Discord and see what we've got. So we've got the current challenge feedback right over here. Let me make this nice and large. Boop, there we go. So let's just jump all the way to the recent, and we'll just go through some of this stuff. So some of it might be from today, some of it might be from yesterday, because people are people are still catching up. But this is from Cosmicon.
Cosmicon.
Oh, so this is day 2. So what was day 2? Day 2 was
endangered species list.
Yeah, design the species list and detail screen for an endangered species awareness app. All right. So initial feedback, I would say. The cards are great. I would say that the black border is probably too dark. Go for something a little bit subtle, like a light gray that's a little bit lighter than the card in the background, but also a little bit darker than, sorry, not a little bit darker than the card and the background, just so there's a little bit, it's not too harsh. But it's nice that there's critically endangered. I mean, it's not nice they're critically endangered, but it's nice that information.
No, I totally agree. I like that that comment that I can tell you're sort of setting yourself up for a system where you have these 3 dots. Maybe it's just a 2 dot for it's like a minorly endangered.
Right.
And then I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of color association there as well.
Yep. Icons at the bottom are nice. You can definitely tell which is the active icon and which are the inactive, which is good. Yeah, looks good. Subtle rounded corners.
Yeah.
Cool, and then we've got the detail screen.
Ooh, nice. I like that you're showing where in the world it's from too. Wait, like, can we zoom in more? I feel like maybe I'm getting old, but my eyes don't work for.
Let's see if this works.
That's a little bit better. Yeah.
Ooh.
Look at that. I think, so this is like you could nerd out on cards for a lot, but when you're dealing with a metaphor like a card, you have these cards sliding on a background and now you have this sort of expansion element in the middle of this card. I feel like that's almost an opportunity to break it out into 2 separate cards because now I'm wondering for me as I'm thinking about this, does the read more, how does the card interact? So you want to play around with how the metaphor for an element that you're working with, how that relates to these interactive points.
Yep, I agree. I love that you can donate directly here.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
And of course, the same feedback as the previous harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nice. Good job. All right, so next we have AG, first time using XD and auto animate. Ooh. All right, let's see. I think this is from day 1, but we'll take a look at it.
Oh, cool.
All right. Let's see.
What are your feelings about gradients? You had thoughts before.
So I love gradients. I just think that they have to be right gradients. And there's a million resources out there. I think Dribbble at one point posted a blog post on best places to get gradients. And feel free to just use existing gradients that work. I would say vibrant gradients are nice. I don't know if they would necessarily work on an application like this, but if you are going to use gradients, the two colors, assuming you're using two colors, shouldn't be too drastic. And we're kind of seeing that here. We have bright red at the top, and then we have white at the bottom, which is creating this really awkward gradient going on. It also makes it difficult to work with text over top of it.
Yeah, and if you, can you go to the next screen to show? There's some interesting transitions here. I feel like the on deck direction is sort of tucked behind.
Oh, this one here? Yeah.
And it's so so dimmed out, I almost can't, it doesn't provide me any benefit of communicating what is the next direction. And it more than anything confuses me because I can't tell if it's part of the map that's behind. So I think that you want to have your degrees of delta not be so drastic. If you want the customer to be able to see it, make them be able to see it.
Yep.
And make the hierarchy clear. If you don't want them to be able to see it, don't have it visible at all.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, and there's a few more visibility issues down here where this dot is kind of blending in with the background. I think that's because the background blur, while I love background blurs, it doesn't give you enough contrast.
Yeah.
So maybe make it either really light or really dark. That way you can work with the opposite color.
Yeah, and you also lose that remains 1 kilometer.
Yeah. But if this is your first time using XD,
this is fantastic.
This is great.
This is really
great
good.
start. I think with minor changes to the gradients and the hierarchy, like you were talking about, this can go a long way.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's always nice when you can have nitpicky feedback.
Yeah.
That's a really positive thing.
Yep. Claire Bear. I like that name. Claire Bear. Here we go. Ooh.
Ooh, look at these
Fancy.
guys.
All right, so I'm assuming this is for a mobile app. I would probably say it's hard to tell when it's not on your device.
Yeah.
Of course, Claire would be able to plug in her phone or use
Yeah.
the cloud. This button's probably a bit too small.
Yeah.
You were talking about earlier the 43, 45.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that was fancy.
Now
Got a
we're
time
just
trigger
getting carried
there.
away.
I know. Claire's just showing us. Oh, ooh, look at that.
Parallax. Oh, Claire. Claire Bear.
Oh, there's more. Am I missing something? There's 11 artboards apparently.
Jeez.
Oh, I can click on the orangutan too.
This is really well done.
This is really cool. She used basically what she used is fixed position for the image in the background, and all this stuff is above it, and it just kind of gives that little parallax effect.
Beautiful.
Nicely done.
I like this, and we saw this on the last endangered species one. If you scroll down to the bottom, she has this endangered indicator.
Yeah.
I think that's really nice to communicate a comparison between different species.
Yep. Nitpicky thing, but I think, oh, actually you can't see it there, but you can see it here. There's a border.
Oh.
So I was about to say there's too much white space here, but this border kind of separates it nicely. Yeah, you see it here, but you can't see it there. Maybe squeeze it just a little bit, but
crunch it down.
still nice. What other artboards are there? Oh, where'd the elephant come from? Wait, what? What is happening? Every time I click that, it goes somewhere else. Oh, it scrolls. Haha.
Jeez. These photos are gorgeous.
Super cool.
I'm just distracted because I want to have this as an app.
I know. I would I was about to say I would maybe move this, because it's such a cool feature, move it like here, if that's the focus of the application is endangered species. But then at the same time, it kind of, you might be able to separate it.
One thing I want to call out this is more of just like a food for thought.
Yep.
When we see progress bars, our natural indication as, gamified beings is, ooh, I want to get max. Like I want to fill the progress bar, which is really interesting when you start playing with an endangered species where you don't actually want it to be a maximum. So I wonder if there's something that we could play with here, where we could. I like that. I didn't feel like I had the same progress bar, progress indicator issue with the first one that we looked at, where it was just 3 dots. So I wonder if maybe if we crunched it down so it was just dots instead of this thing, then I don't feel like I'm like, oh, I can't wait till it gets to this, till it gets full, and then you're like, that means critically endangered. Oh, what? I'm a horrible person. So that's just something to be cognizant of when we are starting to deal with progress bars, because we gamify everything, right?
That's true. That's a good point.
Like Vlad's, wow, that's evil in this context. I'm totally with you. I'm not saying let's gamify endangered species, but you need to be really careful about the UI accidentally.
Unless you're gamifying the experience where you're actually helping them.
Exactly.
That could be a different thing. But yeah, if you're
maybe
gamifying,
reverse it so then
right.
the max full is like fully safe, and now you can, everybody has their own pet orangutan.
Yeah. Here's one from day 1. It's a bit difficult to see. Oh, let's see if this works.
Or make it vertical like a timeline. Very cool.
Add destination. Oh, that's fancy.
That's some big icons.
Those are big icons, which is good for a car.
Yeah, it could.
Right?
Yeah, it could be.
All right.
I think that some of these elements, depending on the device, we could have it could be either the icons are way too big or the text on that last screen was way too small. We sort of have both extremes. This, the actual address for these guys is really tiny.
Right.
But in comparison to the large icons from before. Oh.
That might be it. All right. Cool. Let's do that one more time. A little bit of weirdness with auto animate, but that could be the layer names, the groups, and that sort of thing.
And I'm not one to judge. I ran into those same issues. It looks really good.
So this is from SK321. Looks like you're probably just starting out. I would take a look at some of the other examples that we looked at and maybe try to incorporate not progress bars, but levels for endangered species and definitely more details. But yeah. I'm going to keep an eye on this one.
Yeah.
All right, this is from JDeep. See if I can make this bigger. There we go. All right.
Yeah, I like the transition, that being able to maintain the image from artboard to artboard so that you feel like you're staying within context there. Sometimes I struggle with this one in my designs. It's tricky to have text on top of an image because it creates lots of dependencies or requirements for that image in order to maintain the color contrast ratio. So that's just something that we need to keep in mind.
It looks like he did try to use a gradient underneath it to make that separation, but I would say the gradient's a little bit too light.
Yeah.
Just go dark.
Yeah.
Neat. All right, we've got Robin. Banker horses. Never heard of a banker horse.
It's because they're endangered.
Oh.
No, hopefully not. No, these are just wild horses of North Carolina. You're good.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that. Oh yeah. Can you drag those?
Oh, that's a good question. No. But that would be a good opportunity to introduce the drag trigger. Ooh. Fancy.
All together now. Nice.
I think possibly these are not perfectly centered in the middle, possibly, or am I just seeing things weird?
I think that this is super nice. I also want to remove the border around the background blur rectangle. I think that would just be it would. I think that would be it would be nice.
Yep. Cool. Let's take a look at one more, and then we're gonna try to tackle this loading animation.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you do that while I start to draw things.
Okay. Check out this one. Oh, is this even from
I'm super impressed with the community of folks who are contributing designs. I just, broad sweeping feedback to all of you guys.
Yeah.
Keep it up. It's super awesome.
That's fancy.
Oh, nice.
So this was from day 2. I don't know if this necessarily lines up with the theme. So I'm gonna skip this one for now. It looks very pretty. But let's do one more that's part of this challenge. That one is not. Let's go for this one. Nature is awesome. Oh, okay. I like the use of different sized images. It's different. Usually you see just like square, 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 or rectangles. But now it's broken up, which is really nice. Leopard. Cool. Alrighty, so we're gonna hop back over to Amy's. We'll definitely, next week there'll be more hosts and more guests. They'll definitely be taking a look at some of your work then.
Awesome. Yeah, okay, cool. So I made this, hopefully it looks like a leaf, right? I made this guy just with the circle, and then I just made it with the circle that, like this, and then V double tap, I double click these guys, and I made it my green. So I'm gonna make you go away for a sec. Okay, so I have this, I'm using my green. What I wanna do is, when we were talking, we talked about like this thing that's growing, and so it grows, and then it comes up, then that leaf turns, and then this next leaf comes up, and then that leaf turns, and then this next leaf comes up, and that leaf turns. So that's what I want to do, right? But let's get the size. I don't know, I think I could probably, so I want you to go for 45. So that, and then, oh, you know what? In order to have this auto animate correctly, I want to start from the end state and reverse back so that all the shapes are maintained.
Yeah, sometimes that definitely helps.
Okay, so you guys, that's why it's nice to have a working understanding of how auto animate works, or just prototyping in general works, so that you can play around with how to get there. So this is what I want to have my end state, right? Oh look, our tree it's grown so big. I'm gonna get my alignment right for some of these guys, because that's one of those things that drives me nuts afterwards. Boop. All right, 1 pixel over. So we have a tree-ish thing. So now this is our end state. So I'm gonna have you come over here, and then I now want to have this guy. I'm gonna have it like suck back into the stem, because keep in mind we're going back in time, right? And I'm dragging them down far enough. And then I want you to rotate. So, right? You guys with me so far? And then that, oh shoot. Did you guys see what I did?
You didn't duplicate it. Oops.
Come on. The opposite of boops is oops. Okay, all right, so now we'll do that again. See, you get better every time you do it, I guess. I'm double clicking those so that it's a single point. That makes it a little bit easier. And I want it to be 0. And maybe we should, I'm gonna do a couple of these steps, and then I wanna double check to make sure I'm not completely going down a dead end road here.
If anyone has any final questions for Amy before we wrap up, definitely throw them in the chat. Now's your last chance.
No. Until next time it is. Oh, and that's gonna drive me nuts. All of these have a border of gray on them. So let's fix that really quick. There we go. All right, so we've got, you can kind of get the general idea of what we're trying to do here. So what I want to do is this is going to be our thinking screen, right? So let's play it out. I want my guys to, oops. Okay, I need all of you to get smaller, and that's probably going to screw with my, oh no, it's not, yay. So I want the end size to be able to not be so big, right? So that looks about right. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So I want the final one to be here. I'm gonna group them each individually. Animation. Oops.
Always when you're under pressure.
Yeah. Speed. Okay. Awesome. So we'll drop you over here. Make you go away. Are you guys all lined up? Okay. So then I'm gonna have that. I'll drag that. What I want to do. I wonder if I should have made that a component. Nope, maybe not. There we go. You go over here. I'll drag it. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna quickly. All right, so then you guys see what I'm, hopefully it's making sense. So I'm gonna have you come over to here. I want it to auto animate. I want it to be on time. Do I want a delay?
You probably want a little bit of a delay so you can actually see the first transition taking place.
I'll do 4.
Yeah.
I'll do 4 here because I kind of want it to be slower at first just to make sure that that we can see it really well. So then let's see how it works. Ah, that's not what I wanted to do.
Oh, what happened there?
That's completely wrong. Animation.
That's interesting.
I wonder if it's because I grouped them separately.
No, they should still work as long as the layer names inside are the same.
Ooh, maybe that's not the case. Design. Layers. Line 13 to 60. Oh, these are so intuitively named. Way to go, Amy. Yeah, they. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. So what we can do, let's just real quick call
so while
this.
you're doing that, Vlad does have a question. It's an interesting one. I'm not sure how deep you can get into it. But he says, is there any reason why someone should not pursue Amazon as a workplace? Was there anything that was completely off from what you expected?
I think that's a really great question. My story is a little unique, and I started working at Amazon as an intern straight out of college, and I've been at Amazon a little over 6 years. I think that as with every single company culture, there's always unique character qualities that a company has, and I've really loved working at Amazon because there's people like me work really well there. There's a lot of I feel like there's a freedom to speak your mind and advocate for the customer because at the end of the day, our goal is to be the world's most customer-centric company. And so it's really, really important that everything that we do ladders back to meeting a customer need and solving a customer problem. And that's really empowering for me as a designer to get to, if I am sitting in any meeting situation and I say, is what we're doing the best thing for the customer? That's the most correct question to be asking in any meeting. And that's really exciting for me, and I love it. With there's always going to be good and bad in any company. So that's Amazon that's the same with Amazon as well. But there's a reason why I've been there as long as I have, and I don't have any big plans to move away from that anytime soon.
Nice. All right, so we've got about a minute left.
Okay,
let's try to plow through this.
Okay, so then let's see, stem. I got excited by the question, and then now I'm not. Now I'm leaf 2. So part of this would have been better if I had not copied and pasted everything.
Yeah.
3. Okay, so let's try that. If that. Oh. Oh,
well,
it's so perfect. Look at that. We could fix this, make this better.
Yeah.
Bring me back on later, and I'll
okay, I'm
it'll
sure
just
you'll
be all
polish it when you
animation
get home.
screens.
It'll be bothering you. You'll upload it to Dribble or something.
Totally will.
All right, so that will wrap it up for Amy. This has been fun.
Yes,
You had a good time?
Super fun. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course. So thank you everyone for joining us in chat. We'll be back tomorrow. Not us. There'll be streams tomorrow, so definitely tune in for that. Sam will be back. Jesus will be back in the morning with the Photoshop Creative Challenge, and then they'll be designing an XD at noon. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. Thanks, everyone.
Ask about love. Probably quote me a sonnet. But you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy. Knowing someone that could level you with her eyes. You don't know about real loss, because it only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody